I went to my mother and I asked her, I need some chums. I said, I bought some toilets. And in Kikuyu, she just told me,
So you just need that one lucky break.
Almost in every business I've ever done, the first client has never been somebody I know. Within a year, we had either tripled or quadrupled the number of toilets we had. We made a really big mistake. I invited some people into the business, and that really almost killed the business. My dad died in 98, and so my mom is now relocating, and we've not got a home.
These guys of Sharks have decided this is not their project for the next 2 years.
Basic 3-bedroom bungalow, and it's just annoying. I used to watch a program called Extreme Makeovers. How are these guys building a house over a weekend? But then, do you know the story of why we build it now? To bring that technology here is beyond my financial capability. So I look for people with muscle.
Moses never set out to be a serial entrepreneur. From cyber cafes to mobile toilets to electric buses, from curiosity, grit, and a knack for seeing what others miss. And when it gets too loud, he unplugs, taking long bike rides that clear his mind and bring back perspective.
I'm dancing away to music on my bike. Because sayo hakuna shida, hakuna school fees, hakuna nini.
6 of you start.
Kenya, into Tanzania, into Malawi. One of my colleagues was pointing at our hotel, so I glanced at what she was pointing at, and when I looked in front, I see this truck right in front of me, and
Today, Moses is helping power Kenya's shift from diesel to electric.
When we were kids and you pretending you're driving a bus, what is the first thing?
Yes.
Because we're noisy.
Yes.
We put ngoma in the vehicle.
To mask the noise.
Yes, to mask the noise. What's the future of public transport? One, let's change the vehicle. The only thing you cannot do in an electric bus is you can't lie. Niko hapa kwa kona hapa ndio hapa Hilton wapi. You hear everybody say, boss, tuko Kawangware. We are building roads like everybody owns a car. If I die today, I would be a very sad person.
Moses Nderitu, finally on the Nitpicker podcast. It's fantastic to have you here.
Thank you for the invite.
Great. Mozi, you're a serial entrepreneur. Yeah. And as we were talking before, you've pretty much started most of your businesses based on a need, something that you were fixing for yourself, and decided, wait a minute, how can I be able to make more money from this? And what many people don't know is the first toilets which are now ubiquitous. Ubiquitous is a very big word for kawa. How mobile toilets are now ubiquitous in functions. You were one of the first people to bring that. How did that start?
I can't remember when it was, around 2003. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was running a TV production company called Level 1. And we had to do a Kenchik advert. It said, there's a better way to get your chicken. And what happened is we had to go to SA to film this Kenchik advert. And the main reason why we went to South Africa to do it is because, have you ever tried to catch a chicken?
No. I'm usually running away from the chicken.
Now, try and chase a chicken and then try and film it. Very difficult because it goes everywhere.
Yeah. And why did you have to go to South Africa in the first place?
Because they had a guy who apparently is a chicken wrangler.
What does that even mean?
So to be able to film this, so imagine I'm chasing a chicken, and the chicken, I don't know where it's going to go. Yeah. So how's the cameraman with his whole steady cam going to follow? And it'll be a mess. Yeah. So this guy has chickens that could run straight. He's kinda, and then there's a chicken that could, so we went to SA to film a Kenchik chicken so that we could have, they all look identical, but it looks like the guy has chased it right through the entire estate.
But how do you even find out that there's a guy in South Africa? What year was it?
This is 2003 or 2004.
Okay, so internet was fairly common.
No, actually, you see, the two movie capitals in Africa at that time was Kenya and SA, but SA was more developed. So they had, when you see all these movies, the guys walking with a lion, those are tame animals. They're not Nairobi National Park, Simona Giza. It's not that kind of ghost and darkness lion. So they've got guys who do animals for movies. So that's why we went there. And one of the things, so we were filming in one of the townships, I can't remember which one. And as part of, because you're out on set, There were these beautiful little trailers on the side. They were called nice equipment, excellent toilets. And I'm like, wow, if only we had something like this at home. Because when we were on location in Kenya, that was always a big challenge. The only people who did toilets were two safari company, Car and Downey. It was a big truck.
Yes.
I was going to use another word, but yeah, starting with A. Anyway, big truck. And
you can say whatever you want to say on
so,
this podcast.
and you could only get it off season when they don't have their camps. If not that, a guy would come, dig a little hole, put like a toilet seat and a little tent. And so if not that, then for your VIPs, if it's the client, you had to drive them to either a restaurant or somewhere. And that's just the way we did. And if you remember, in those days, if you had a wedding, it had to be in a school, a church.
Somewhere with facilities.
The one reason why we did that is because there were no toilets. So for me, I look at this Luz, and I'm there with Teddy Mudusi and Eric Ndavi, and because they were working for the agency. And I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. So I take the number and I tell them, then I think we should buy this. We should bring this to Kenya. Everyone's looking at me like, you're crazy. And so we finished the film. We did post-production. And I decided to go back to SA to meet Nice Equipment guys. And they told me that, nope, our headquarters is in Cape Town. So at some point in 2003, it's the first time I went to Cape Town, met these Muzungus. It was a different time then. So you already can feel like they're looking at you, and are you a Nigerian prince? You're coming with some Cornish behaviors. Yes. And so I just needed one, a single little trailer, one. That's all I wanted, because I wanted it for the TV production company. And then it became a long story. You can't buy one because 4 feet in a container, and bringing one is going to be just logistics. And I just felt these Muzungus are trying to tell me, dude, Miro, go back to your country, you don't know what you're doing. And I swear that was, on one hand, the Mau in me just came out. I said, I'm going to buy these bloody 4 toilets. And so I bought 4. So we fitted them in an open top 40-foot container, and they were shipped, and they took 3 months from Cape Town to Mombasa. But now, in that 3 months, I have to figure out what am I going to do with 4 of these trailers. And so you start researching and thinking, what do I do with them? And then how am I going to move them? So, and that's how Exclusive was born. So you find that there are other people doing similar things, especially in the UK and everywhere else. And those guys, and once I bought, their whole demeanor changed. And now they open Kimono, they're telling me what are the things you should be looking at, what's spares, the chemicals used. Now they've changed.
Yeah, now they're seeing you're a guy with some cash.
Yes, I'm a serious guy. And yeah, so the toilets came, they landed in Mombasa. Kerry looked at them and decided,
what kind of shitty
business what is this here? And they decide the duty is going to be whatever they decide, because it's the first ones. And they were stuck.
Actually, how do they even decide what the duty is going to be like?
Exactly. Is it a trailer? So it's going to be registered as a trailer, like a vehicle. So, but then
because it's on wheels.
It's on wheels, so it'll get the ZA plate. But it's the very first one, so they have to create it in the system, and it's just a whole mess. By the time then demarriage checked in as we are trying to do that, and so now I don't have enough money to clear them. And so I went to my mother and I asked her, I need some chums. And she asked me, Kwani, I said, I bought some toilets. And in Kikuyu, she just told me, Shioro. And she's trying to think, what? And you can just see her thinking, hey, this guy, I love you, my son, lakini,
kuna vile.
Kuna vitu zingine unafanya don't make sense. And borrowed a loan that I have paid maybe 50 times, because every time she's broke, she remembers that she lent me some money some time back. And we brought them out, and then we started trying to get gigs. And it was difficult, because the moment I tell somebody I want to bring toilets to your house, what is the thinking? They think I'm bringing some stinky thing.
That's right.
And nobody wanted. We couldn't actually get anybody to use them.
Because they couldn't imagine it.
Yeah, and we don't have that many productions that we are using them. So we were peddling them.
Where were they parked? First of all, where were they parked?
At my house. I used to live on Amboseli Road, so parked them there. When they first came, they were parked at the production company with a big parking. They were parked there, and I had to buy myself a pickup and
to pull,
to tow them.
But you can only tow one at a time.
One at a time. So I buy one pickup, and then I'm using that. Then then maybe I want to hire one, but you need a pickup with a tow hook. So I put a tow hook on my personal car. Those other days I used to like cars, so towing them and taking them around. And it took, I don't know how many months, but it felt like forever before we actually got a paying client. And I remember that the first job we ever did was one of the Michukis was getting married. I'm not sure which one. I don't know if it's, but in Kangema, it was one of those itaras.
The traditional, one of those traditional ceremonies.
And taking it to Windsor, and they said, we will pay for it. We will take the toilet, but in Kangema, and we're not paying transport. So myself, a driver, me in my Land Cruiser, a driver in the pickup, we went and did 2 round trips to Kangema. And of course, Windsor.
You carried all 4?
Yeah, we went. So you go and you come back, come back.
Yes.
And it's Saturday, so you go Friday. And Kangema is not that fun. The road is okay. And and now being one of the Michukis, catering is by Windsor. Who are the guests? It's from Kibaki to everybody who's anybody was there.
Yes.
And we made sure we were prim and proper. We had brand new mops. We did the job. And that is when Exclusive now we started getting calls, and people say, then you could do your bits of the season, your Safari 7s, you started doing government gigs, and that business started growing. And
so you just need that one lucky break.
I would say you just need that opportunity. I mean, with a lot of things, you just need the chance to show what you can do. And then from that, and actually almost in every business I've ever done, the first client has never been somebody I know. It's always been a lucky break. Even when I was in TV production, very first advert we ever did, Ian Ngeve of Rekid Benkiza, he just took a chance on this 20-year-old and said, yeah, you can do my dental adverts. And the first one, and that built the entire business and just continued. So one lucky break for me, I would say, is when you get it, take full advantage. And and that one event in Kangema is responsible for how we do eventing in Kenya today. Yes.
Yeah.
Because then we started doing things at Ivory Burning Site and KICC grounds, things that you couldn't do anything in the national park. How? Where are the facilities?
So it's interesting. So you now, because you're able to provide toilets, it changed the whole entertainment scene in terms of where you can be able, even weddings, where you can be able to have functions.
You can have a function anywhere.
How long did it take before a competitor said, this business?
I don't know.
Because let me take that back. You start with 4. At what point does business become so good that you need to increase?
I can tell you within a year, we had either tripled or quadrupled the number of toilets we had. Because what would happen is, one, it became a weekend business. So you're busy Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay? I'll give you a good example. The car bazaar. The biggest challenge, today they have a physical abolition block at Jabuhuri. Car bazaar had no toilets. So if you're going there to look for cars, and they've been there for a long time, so that was my Sunday client. Then some churches, when we started these tent churches, that became our client. Saturday I do weddings and in people's homes, because if you invite 50 people or 100 people in your home, you can put them out in your garden. But your toilet is not meant for 50, 100 people who are drinking. So Saturday, I am in people's houses. And Friday, a lot of times you're doing corporate or sports. So you're busy. So then Monday is cleaning day, Tuesday people take a break, and Wednesday we start now planning for the next. And then, of course, you start saying, okay, we can't just do a business that only deals with high end. So we went into what we call the porta potties, the plastic ones.
The ones that we see now on construction sites.
Yeah. In fact, I would say I was the first person to put toilets on a construction site, and that was Thika Road. Thika Road was the first road or the first construction site in this country that had toilets.
The building of the highway.
The building of the highway. We had them, and now because I am doing that, I can't carry those toilets back to industrial area every day. So I had to buy a truck that cleans, that has, it's an exhauster, but it also carries fresh water so that you can actually clean them on site. But it's a process. So one of the things I would do is, believe it or not, I would go to conferences. And today people just go on YouTube and you see everything and you can go on the internet. That time it was not as easy.
Yeah.
Internet will give you certain things, but I found out there is a World Toilet Organization.
Oh, what do you mean a World Toilet Organization? WTO?
Yes, WTO. And they have a meeting in Singapore. And me, I go there and I want to understand. And I meet other guys who are doing. I joined an organization called the Portable Sanitation Association. They were based in the US, and they had these huge conventions. The first one I went was in Daytona.
And what's the subject matter of it? Like new technology
there's a whole
exhausting?
exhibition of products, of chemicals, of software to track where the loser. Because this is, when you look at like in the US where you can't even do a renovation without. So you find that people with a few thousands, they have got thousands of these units. So they have to track them. And so you start beginning to understand that what you're doing is just a niche. There's a whole industry. So when we started, we used to use formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde that people use to preserve bodies.
Yes, because remember, the decomposition process creates stench. So and that's what we used to use. And then it's like getting stolen. If you remember, there was a time that when people started going blind.
Yes, because we're putting it in that moon.
And so by going to this, I realized that there were other less harmful chemicals.
Hold on, let's unpack that a little bit. So people were putting formaldehyde in like chana or something.
Yes.
Does it make you get high faster or what?
Honestly,
it used to preserve bodies to keep them.
I had a D in chemistry.
You're not the one to ask that question.
I had never even heard of formaldehyde. So I would have to buy it in drums, but now I'm using it, and I'm using it to you do not want the decomposition start happening because, I like talking a lot of shit because,
you're in the business of shit.
Why do pit latrines smell? It's because when you take fecal matter and urine and put it together, and that's what creates that stench. But the moment you do, for example, dry toilets where you separate, or why doesn't when your cow does its business on the way, by evening that thing is dry, you literally can lift it. No stench. But where they sleep, there's stench.
Yeah.
So the idea is to reduce that. And if you reduce that, then there will be no smell when it's at the event. And then.
So hold on, you're moving very fast. You're saying that the reason why when you leave it when the cow craps on the road, it doesn't stink. But where it lives, it stinks because it's combined with urine.
Yes, and then that chemical reaction is what keeps.
I see.
Yes. Okay, your dog poos on your garden. 2 days later, you literally can lift it, and same thing with humans. But it's not how we look at it. But the moment that process is happening, it creates that stench. So formaldehyde would stop that decomposition, and then you'd use fragrances to just mask. And so when you flush, because the way those mobile toilets work is they recycle the water. So it's the same. When you flush, it's some of them are recycling some of the water, but some of them have fresh water. So you don't want to keep. Eventually, it's going to start. You'll have.
So they're like mini biodegraders.
Some of them, yeah. Depends on which one you have. For example, the porta toilets, it's recycled water because there's no two tanks. It's one single tank. So what am I learning in these places is they are less harmful chemicals. They're cheaper. So we started with liquids, and then we went to tablets. that you just throw inside. And so you're trying to move and create a different paradigm in how you're, on what you're doing. And that's how we started getting into construction. So construction sites, I really pushed the Nairobi County to put it in the bylaws. It's actually there in the bylaws, but we don't, Kenya, we have very good laws, but we don't enforce them. But it's there. So you're not supposed to have a site without a site toilet. Okay? And look at what we do. So when you're building the site, you got 100 people and you do a pit latrine. But what are you going to do next to the pit latrine? Your borehole. Are we surprised that we are having challenges? So these things are there and they're obvious to certain parts of the world. Here, you're literally creating an entire new industry. You're telling people that, hold on, there's a challenge that we can deal with mobile toilets. Yeah.
So you bring in your next. Now, are you still bringing them in from Cape Town?
I am bringing them from Cape Town. I have found.
Now they're picking up your call on the first ring.
Boss, niko na credit. They can even send. They're ready. So basically, when they started renewing their fleet, so they're getting newer ones, they would sell me all the old ones. So I became the uptaker for all their older units. They would refurbish them and send them to me. And here they were working well. Then you start realizing, okay, who else is doing this? I start buying from the UK. Okay, I travel around and I meet guys and we go different places and we find who's selling and you buy them in the winter when there's no events. There's not many events in the winter. So when you go there, that's when you buy them. Because in the summer, there's festivals, no one will sell. And so they use the winter to build their new ones and dispose their old ones. So I start buying that. And I start buying the plastics from Italy. Then moved to a company from the US. Now I'm even being invited to these conferences. Some of them, for example, I got invited to, which is funny, I got invited to Cologne, actually Nürburgring.
In Germany?
Yes, for the European toilet. It was called Eurotoy. It was an exhibition, and they paid for me to fly there. And that's where my love for biking started on that trip. But that's a story for another day.
Well, we're here for stories, but we'll come back to that. Yeah. So at its height, how many toilets did you have at the height of Exclusives?
Around 300 and something. So maybe 10% were the trailer types, and the others were the single toilets. We started doing urinals. We started doing hand wash stations. We even had handicap toilets and baby changing rooms, portable ones. Yeah.
Competitors now start to see this.
A few.
Because there are very few barriers to entry in such a business.
The biggest barrier is acquisition.
Yes,
so
the
capex.
capex.
And I really didn't find. I think we had a good run for a better part of maybe 7-8 years. Yeah. What changed in that business is we started seeing consolidation. So the big event companies or the people doing big events did not want to deal with multiple vendors. So you go to a guy who provides a typical Kenya tents.
Yes.
He does tents, chairs, decor, band, food. Our typical Kenyan business, moshere, bushere, everything, cyber, cyber, everything. I do everything. So what then happens is the clientele started moving. So I'm now not dealing with the final client. I am dealing with either an aggregator or an event organizer.
Yes.
What then changed is we started seeing we are carrying more debt. So they're not paying you. And so cash is king. So the business is straining because if you're not getting your money and you're paper rich, but you're not cash rich. So that started straining us a lot. But I would say from 2004 all the way, I remember like, for example, we did very well in 2007. One, because we did all the political campaigns. for for President Kibaki. He was an older man. So when he landed, his chopper landed, there must be a loo there. So you're all over the country for the entire campaign, IBC in KICC for all that period until the country went crazy. So we did very well, entered 208. And actually, I think the run went to around 2012, and that's when competitions started coming. Usual, cut prices, aggregation. So now I am dealing with all these tent guys, and tents now became the biggest thing, and chairs and decor. So you go to one guy, that guy doesn't pay me. And then it starts, so what happens is, and then you're competing. So quality side is coming down. And you're kind of beginning to ask yourself, okay, is this where I want to go? I also made what I would call a really big mistake at one point, where I thought to raise capital, and I invited some people into the business based on their profiles. Say, oh, these guys, they are doing very well. They are bankers. They are world captains of industry, and they have this charma or something, and they are investing in different things. So they put some money into it, and then they sat. So now you've got investors. You've got, some of them are now directors, and you want to buy a pickup, and NIC want a director's guarantee. And the director who's there says, I'm not signing a personal guarantee. So how am I going to buy a pickup? And so
you gave them equity.
I gave them equity in the business. But you see, and today, if somebody asked me, I would say, as much as they do due diligence on you, we also have to do due diligence on your investor. Are they going to be the right type of investor?
It's a marriage.
Yes. So,
it's a marriage.
Unfortunately, because as a young entrepreneur, I am looking for
wherever you can get
the funding. And that really almost killed the business. Because as competition is coming in, I have raised some equity, but I'm struggling to deploy it because the people I am working with are not, we don't share the vision. For them, it's an investment, and they're wondering, when are we seeing money? But if as an equity investor in a startup or in a early stage business, it's not just writing a check, because that's not what you're looking for. You're also looking for them to help you open. And we're thinking, shall we move into the region? Because we did some work in Rwanda when there was I think I remember 1 or 2 movies in Rwanda, so we ship all the things in Rwanda. It was a big movie. We provided some toilets for Hotel Rwanda. We did Shaking Hands with the Devil, which was the movie about General Dallaire. We did the Sudanese. We all moved to, literally almost moved the entire company to Juba for when South Sudan got the independence. So we're doing serious things. Yeah, we're doing good stuff. But if when you come back, you can't agree on basics, it became very difficult. And eventually, as much as bought them out, by the time I'm buying them out, I was literally exhausted. And now competition is calm. And now your biggest competitor is the aggregator. So he owes you money, and then he's basically used the money he's not paid you to buy his own.
Wow.
And today, I don't like using the word regrets, but one of the things I really feel sad is when I go to events and the toilets are bad. And I've been to a few concerts at Uru Gardens, and I'm just like, we've gone backwards. They're terrible. Half the time, they're just bad. Yeah.
So who did you sell your stock to?
I sold it to Wonder Joy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know. And so as even government changed, then he was the darling of all corporate and all government. Government was a big part of my business, probably 40%, if not more. And so he cleaned out government, and I got to a point whereby I didn't feel I could. And then for me, if the passion's not there anymore. It's time to move on and do something else.
So you left that business with a shirt on your back, and a little bit of some to fesha, some to profits at hand.
There were some coins that remained that could allow you to survive until your next venture.
Yeah. Enter stage left. You're building a house for your mom.
And people who do mjengo is hard work. So I grew up here, and
here being Nairobi.
Nairobi, I'm Nairobi by birth, not by bus. So
what's the difference between being Nairobi by birth? As in you didn't bus it. Sorry, I'm Antinita. Sorry, I'm sorry. Major Antinita. Okay.
Me, I'm a Nairobi guy.
Yes.
Me, I'm not a Shags guy who came to Nairobi. Me, I'm a Nairobi guy. So if I don't know where if you read my ID, it says someplace in Nyeri. But kind of chief, I don't know. But if you go down to a place called Buru, and let me just Buru is not the hood. Buru was like Muraiga of Eastlands.
It was very nice.
I've been hearing guys, I grew up in the hood. Which hood? Buru was the Barbies of Eastlands. So I'm a Barbie of Eastlands. So grew up in Buru. So of course, gets to a point whereby your parents, so my dad died in 98, and so my mom is now relocating. She's retired, and she wants to go home to Nyeri, and we've not got a home. And so, of course, she built something, nice wooden place that she can survive, and it's good. It's good enough. But there's always been, from when I was a kid, there was always this story, we're going to build a house, we're going to build a house. In fact, at one point when I was a kid, mawes were put there, construction materials. So finally we agreed, okay, let's get started. And this is as far back as maybe when I was an Exclusive, when they started, and this house would just never end. I think year 1, year 2, and there was always something. And the fundis call you every Friday. There's something, there's simiti meisha. There was always something. And so you've got this site, you've got this construction that never ends. And it's not like you're building the Taj Mahal. You're building a basic 3-bedroom bungalow, and it's just annoying.
So clearly these guys of Shags have decided this is not their project for the next 2 years. This is how they're going to be making money.
I don't think it's so much that. I think it's just the way we do things. It's just that. It's Kenyanese, niko na mjengo. It's something to do. That's the way we operate. And in those days, I used to watch a program called Extreme Makeovers, and I would cry. I would cry after that. They would show this story of these kids, their house has mold, and they are getting sick, and then they would put them this, and they take them on some holiday for a weekend in Florida, and then they would come back, and these guys would land there, and they would build the house quickly, and then move the bus. The bus goes, this. Like, how are these guys building a house over a weekend? And as guys, me have been building for 3 years, and it has never finished. Yeah. And I was like, no. So I started researching about quick build housing. Just said, this does not making sense. I started researching it and just trying to find out how do other people build. Of course, in the US, they use timber and drywall, and what Kenyans call
What is drywall?
Gypsum. Something's like a gypsum thing.
Okay.
That's why they punch walls and they break.
Yes. It
I think, here we lived in mud and grass thatch.
Yeah.
So all of us are trying so hard to get away from mud and grass. So to Mawe. But do you know the story of why we build in Mawe?
No.
It's a British. They came here with their building code, and they want a house that can withstand our pitched roof so that the ice can.
And the pitched roofs are made for winter, isn't it?
Yes, so that the
snow can be able to fall off.
Yes. And
that's it.
And then because they're on an island, there's a lot of rock, they would build with stone. That's what they built. They came here and they built with stone. Because they were not living. Those guys were here to stay. So they built with stone. So all of us, Miros, who are looking, what were we? And in our hearts, what are you thinking? When I make it, Mawe. That meant you have
arrived.
And we've continued with that thing. And even today, that's what it means. So,
what's the alternative building material, Mozi?
Oh man, you go to I have seen houses. I had a friend, unfortunately, passed away in the UK. He actually lived in a house that was made with straw. And they would pack this straw and compact it and put some additive, and it was such good insulation.
By straw, you mean like what we see, like this hay?
Like hay.
Like hay,
yes. There's all manner of things. I mean, there's winter in the US and people build with wood, and there's so many. Our neighbors build with fired bricks. We don't. We want quarry, mawe, daru or stone. I don't know. It's expensive. It's expensive. It's very expensive. So our foundations, we have to dig, black cotton,
yes, and put suspended foundation, and you drop 2 mic on a foundation,
exactly. and you bury 2 million shillings down there.
And you haven't even gone
this
up above
doesn't make sense. And so I come across a company in Malaysia that was building a lot of houses for the palm oil plantations. And if there's one thing I am thankful for, is I have this wanderlust. I enjoy to travel, and isipokuwa tu saa zingine uhusiano na pesa inakataa, I would travel a bit more. But I have always said, try and do one destination per year if you can, just somewhere new. And I am not one of these travelers who wants to go and lie on the beach. I want to go and just wander and just see, what do they do, what do they eat, just look and leave your mind to be a sponge. And so I land in Malaysia, and I'm looking at this house that literally is made with styrofoam.
Styrofoam. Now,
or
styrofoam is that thing that when you open a TV box, that thing that covers our TVs.
Yes. What? Polystyrene. And it's brilliant. And it's brilliant.
Wait, is it a double-story house? It's a bungalow?
They're building even apartments.
No, come on, Mozi. That's not possible. Made from styrofoam.
I have built houses like that here in Kenya. Okay? So I am excited. And now Kuala Lumpur became the place and Malacca going there. Of course, so I went the first time, met these guys, and I am completely blown away. But to bring that technology here is beyond my financial capability. So I look for people with muscle. And if at the end, actually, the first thing we did is I then imported the panels, those styrofoam panels, to build the first house. And we built it somewhere in Mlolongo, where we actually put the Koto housing factory. And I'll share with you, it's probably on YouTube, House in 21 days. And we wanted to build it in the same 21 days that the Malaysians were doing.
So what is it? So they're pre-cast panels made of that styrofoam?
Yes, so they're built, the panels, the styrofoam or the polystyrene panels are precast. They're like made like almost like plastic. So you buy pellets, and there's a whole process of putting them in the mold, and it comes out, and they have got hollow pockets. So it comes out of what they call like a cassette. And then you coat them with a fiberglass coating and with a cement finish. So it's like a fiberboard. And then in the hollow pockets is where you can put your rebar and put in your concrete, and that becomes your beam. So you're using, instead of using big beams, you're using smaller beams, and that way you're distributing the weight across the entire house. And because it's light, you can also use what we're calling a floating foundation. So you're not having to dig, because what you're doing is you've created a mesh and it's a floating foundation. The building is light, it's insulated, and it's quick. It's Legos. It literally is Lego. And that's what we brought in the first one, built the house, proof of concept. My investors liked the idea. Originally, the Malaysians wanted a JV. My investor says, no, we can do this. And that's how Koto Housing started. So that's how I moved from toilets into the building, into housing.
Did you finish the house for your mom?
Yes, she lives in it today.
But it's a stone house.
It's a stone house. She lives in it today, but I can tell you even today, there's still something. If I go there, I'll be told, oh, chimneys, there's still something. There's always something.
I'm just finding it interesting because then you got all this great technology that you decided you didn't take it back home and just put up like a...
So see, I've already done all this. It's the frustration of building that house that drove me to trying to understand. Frustration of building that house, my cathetic program of move that bus, and that drove me to actually trying to understand how do other people do this. Because for me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so that's how we started the housing. And so our plan when we started the housing was to build, is to create building materials and sell them to contractors and people who are doing big projects. But like the toilets, everybody's like, what? A house? Ile karatasi ya TV? Psh, never. So we had to build. That's why the house in 21 days, built another one. Quoted for police housing, the original affordable housing program. And I remember we built 200 houses in 6 months, apartments. So there's 2 blocks in Njiru police station. They're there. The police live there, and 2 in Migosi police station. So 200 houses and 100 houses, and that was the proof of concept. And then and because my investors were the powers that be, we were aligned with the government policy. I knew we were going to make serious color. I should be a billionaire by now, but
it went the way it went.
It went the way it went. But the point is, it works. And other companies came. NHC have their factory. There was another competitor who came. There was a Chinese competitor. So that works. But you literally, like anything again, like you literally need, for anything to pick up, people need to believe. And how do I put it? A lot of us joined M-Pesa, not because we wanted to, but because you needed to pay a gardener in shags.
We needed to.
Yes.
Because we needed to.
But what did you used to do before
You'd put money in an envelope, go to the 2NK circle.
Exactly.
All right, and send it across.
But somehow, your mother's gardener or milkman had M-Pesa, you didn't. You have Visa, you have cards, you have Pesa Link. What did it was Pesa Point. You could get money. We didn't need it. So you almost have to get a few early adopters who then become your ambassadors. So the Michukis, early adopters who become your ambassadors. Now here, we thought government, for once, government was the early adopter. So we expected it to catch on. And
has that technology caught on now, even though you've left and everything? Is it
unfortunately not. Unfortunately not at where it should be. Not at where it should be. And yes, there are challenges because so I build this, building these panels in a factory, so they attract other taxes, VAT. The guy who goes and buys Mawe from the quarry doesn't have those challenges. They're just certain things, but you almost needed like literally like a big project to be able to just prove it. And the one we thought we would do was the Park Road affordable housing, the very first one. Yes. So the idea was we do all the internal walling with these panels, and let's do the exterior, because the first thing everybody would come, they would do this.
Yes.
Okay. But unfortunately, it's not caught on as it should. There is people building it. A lot of lightweight foundations are using materials like that now, but it didn't catch on. I may not know what's happening right now, but it didn't catch on as we had expected.
If you were to build a house today, would you build it with that material?
Oh, yes, most definitely. If there was, and I did build a house with it, and I lived in that house for 5 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Is the house still standing?
Yeah, still standing. Beautiful house.
What happens if you have a fight and do the panels get destroyed, or or you
You'll
cover
hurt
them
your
with
hand.
concrete?
You will hurt your hand, but you will. Okay, if you took a hammer and hit it hard, you will get a dent.
Okay.
But if I took a hammer and hit that wall, there'll still be a dent. So you will repair it in the same way. Yeah.
All right.
But it does. But the most beautiful property of that type of house was insulation. On a hot day, it keeps the heat. And we use polystyrene for insulation even today. In the middle of your fridge and the plastic, what's there? It's excellent for insulation. So your house is never too hot, it's never too cold. Perfect. So we built a few houses for people who, I built a house in 14 days in Bungoma for former Minister Musikari Kombo. So in their traditions, your in-laws come, they can't stay in your house. Tulijenga nyumba, and we had 14 days. Day 15, furniture was getting in.
If I want to do this, Mozi, where would I get this? Is it possible for me to do it today?
Yes, I think there's still a few companies that are still doing these panels and everything. I would have to check, yeah, but there's a few, 2 or 3 companies. There was a Chinese company out in Kitengela. There was a company on Thika Road at Clayworks. There's Koto's not there. There's National Housing Corporation also had a factory to build to do these panels. So yeah.
Okay.
It's possible. It's very possible.
How did you swivel to the e-mobility space? Because clearly everything is based on a need. So how did you swivel to?
E-mobility is something I have been watching. And I've just been watching and learning. And the first time I ever came across electric was in 2013 in China. We were doing 2013. We were doing campaign merchandise. And we would go to these factories and guys would just show up in little scooters that are running on battery. I kept thinking, this makes a lot of sense. And at that time, in some of those places, you go to apartment blocks and there were just cables running from up so that they could charge their bicycles and scooters down there.
Wait, so you've got a charger? You've got a charger in your house?
You see this cable here,
Yes, so I'm on apartment on floor 10.
Okay, maybe not 10, maybe 3 or 4. You drop a wire and...
I drop a wire down to the ground floor to charge my bike.
Yes. And I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. So you're kind of just looking at it from afar. And of course, certain things are happening. Tesla is doing their thing. You're kind of not connected to that. It's a bit out there. So it's something I was watching, just, watching it from afar and thinking, I used to like cycling in my younger days before I got this insulation for the 6-pack. No, I have to protect the 6-pack. So I covered it in a nice insulation. So isisikie baridi. I used to cycle and I would do this uvumbuzi. I'm thinking, as an older guy, I can still enjoy that cycling when I'm not maybe on the bike. And so I always thought, one day I'll buy an electric bicycle. And that's 2013. And I go back to China in 2017. And let me tell you, chalk and cheese. Technology has completely leapfrogged. There is no cables anymore. The batteries are not like your normal car battery, lead acid, that used to sometimes the guy is riding, the acid pours on his leg. Those things have all gone. Now we've moved on. And we talk about electric vehicles like it's such a big... The toy car you buy for your son is an electric vehicle. It's a battery and a motor. Now things have changed. That's completely changed. And now 2017, I walked into a Tesla showroom and just saw this Model X. And I'm like, this is insane. Yeah. And I'm talking about 2013 to 2017. It was like something completely different. And I said, this is a big thing. This is going to be huge. And so now I have an interest and I am thinking about it. And I remember when we were talking about affordable housing at that point, I was saying, imagine if you could get people to cycle. And because you don't want to get to work sweaty, electric bike. Get a house and you have an electric bike or motorcycle and there's a cycle lane. Think about Park Road. You go to city center, it's 3 kilometers, 2 kilometers. What a wonderful way to commute. And then you're also thinking that at the same time I'm sitting on the board of NTSA, and all I see is fatalities about, and the biggest is
NTSA stands for
National Transport and Safety Authority.
Okay.
And all I'm seeing is the highest fatality is always pedestrians, borders. And I'm thinking, come on, there's something. If I ride, and I don't ride like I stole my bike. So if people would go and ride their own bikes, there would be less accidents because you're not in this mad rush. So that's the way I was thinking about it, that it could be a revolution, not to now take those bicycles or motorcycles and make them borders. I was thinking, can we then create a new segment for personal mobility, what they call micro-mobility today? And of course, you start seeing the guys with their little scooters. Those can't work here because hakuna pavement. But there's there are manholes that can swallow you up with your scooter. So, but that's the thinking. And so you keep tabs on this, and I bought some electrical bikes. I bought myself a Segway, one of those, and a few.
What's a Segway?
Segway was like, what do we call it? It's a personal mobility. It's got 2 tires, and it had like off-road tires, and people do those tours them.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
okay,
and then
okay.
and that's the same time we got, what are the other ones?
But on those ones,
they are the other ones that were down. Yes, I can't remember. I bought some. So myself and my kids, we were operating. The name's just gone off my head. Those balancing things that you have to stand in and you move and you just, hoverboards. Yes, that's it. Got a few hoverboards, got a Segway, and got a few electric bikes. And we came and you were riding them, and for me it was almost like it's research. I am in China, I can buy these things, those Salhia, Sikakuja, they land here. It was wonderful, excellent. So I said, this is going to happen. And so as I started now, at the period when I was now beginning to think, what am I gonna do? This housing thing's not working for me. We are not agreeing, what am I going to decide now, getting more and more deeper into understanding what's happening in that EV sector. And then at one point, of course, COVID comes, and COVID taught us that people learned how to cook chapos, others learned how to crochet. I learned everything I needed to learn on e-mobility in that period of COVID.
How? Researching or now using your...
You're at home. You're at home.
Yeah.
You have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
YouTube, blogs, anything. I was there. Yeah. So early in the morning, COVID was a nice time, I would say, if you used it well.
Yeah.
You'd wake up and start drinking early in the morning. Good thing about drinking, you can stand in front of the TV for 6 hours. And in that 6 hours, between the telly and your computer, you've done a lot of research. So I've read a lot. I bought books on people who have done EV, on just trying to understand how new technologies catch on. And towards the end of COVID, I met a guy called Joe. I don't remember how I met Joe. Somebody must have introduced him to me. And he's the guy who started Arkride. And we would sit here, down here at
and
Nderitu.
What is Arkride?
Arkride is, you've seen a lot of yellow bikes with Uber.
Yes.
A lot of them are from a company called Arkride. And ARC, they do electric motorcycles. And I met Joe, and we just started talking and just exchanging ideas, having drinks there, and kind of thinking what I've been researching. And he's like, boss, join me, let's start this company. And kind of, I'm not very sure, but we started putting together this company called Arkride. And today it is what it is. And
I'm seeing a lot of border
yes.
Uber borders are using that.
Yes. And that's, so that was one of the things. So I joined him almost like an advisor or some sort of kind of thing. And also because remember I said I was on a board that regulates transport. So people would come and ask you, how will we do this? What can you do? And as I'm doing that, there was another some other guys who are also trying to navigate our bureaucracy, and they couldn't. They wanted to start a electric bus company, and they were trying to figure out, if we bring a bus, how will it be registered? What will just trying to understand how will it be inspected? There's so many things you're not sure, and again they had come from the solar industry, and during COVID, they are stuck in Nairobi, and you're sitting in Nairobi, and there was a time when you could things that I took for granted as a kid. Mount Kenya was very visible from Buru. As a child, I know where Mount Kenya exactly is. At that time, I used to live in Athiri, but from Lolongo, you could see, during COVID, you could see on certain days, you could see Kilimanjaro. What had happened, the air had cleared. So these guys, unknown to me, are trying to do this, and somebody introduces them to me and says, "Oh, we've been trying to get a meeting with so and so and so and so, so and so, PS so and so, like, oh, okay, no problem." 5 phone calls, meetings that they had been trying to get for 6 months. They got in one day, in one sitting over coffee. And then they came and said, "Oh, would you like to consult with us?" Yeah, after all, remember, I'm jobless, because I've left Koto Housing.
Yes.
Board meetings are virtual, so atakuna per diem. Yeah, so you've got time, and it's something that you've been reading about. And so and then my time at NTSA was also coming to an end. I just finished my 2 term. So I did 2 terms. So I was finishing my 2 terms. So I kind of consulted for them. First thing the first consultancy was to do the BRT tender. So for a long time, government has always wanted to improve public transport, and they wanted to create a bus lane from, I think, on the Thika Road from somewhere around Juja all the way to Kenyatta Hospital. And so it was one of the things they built all these things you see in the middle of the road.
Yes, in the median. Yes, like they're supposed to be like stations or
exactly.
something.
And so at that point, they were now looking to procure buses, and they wanted to do electric buses. And that's how I ended up working on the tender for now Basigo. And so
Basigo is the company that they've consulted you. You've helped them get access.
Yeah.
And so now they are like, all right, we can work with government to introduce
So we started off. We call it our courtship period. So I'm working as a consultant maybe for 6 months, and then one day. There was a few offers. There was a few companies that were coming, looking, a financing company that was looking for somebody who can head their mobility, and so I was talking to quite a few people on basically in that field. And one of the reasons why I wanted to be in the e-mobility field is something that I was passionate about, and number 2, I wanted to be in a business that I know is going to be in a growth phase for at least 10, 15 years, okay? I didn't want a fad that was just going to come and go. And so, as consulted 6 months, and then we just sat. So there were several options, and they were not one of them. But one of the founders was requested to give an opinion or a recommendation. Would you have? You've been working with this guy as a consultant. We are thinking of hiring him. Would you recommend him? And he did. And then he sat and thought, hold on, why am I recommending? So he called me and said, look, there's company X that is considering if you can join them to head their e-mobility division. But I think his speech went something like, they will pay you more money than we can think of, that we can ever afford, but you'll be just another guy in this huge corporate or a dark cog in the wheel. But if you consider you join us, you build equity, you will have real responsibilities, and you'll be part of building something that can be meaningful.
What value are you bringing as Mozi into this e-mobility? I mean, you've just worked on the motorcycle space, right? You've done a ton of research. You've helped a company set up Arkride. What value are you bringing as an individual? You've been in this business a year or two. Where are people clamoring to have Mozi come in?
Being an entrepreneur for so many years, I probably can open any door, call anybody in 2, no more than 3 calls, number one. So even when I joined, and then remember this American, British guy, who's their clientele? Are they going to go and talk to 2NK?
2NK, Sasco.
Where do they start with dealing with,
So local context. Yes, so they're seeking you for your local context, knowledge.
Yeah. Your knowledge. They're looking for somebody who thinks like an internal entrepreneur, and they're looking for you to help them in their go-to market strategy. But I think more, what are you bringing? You're bringing your lifetime of experience to it. So started, and as I've said to you, it's what made me join Basigo. I like the fact that they were mission aligned, so they have a very clear goal. They've got they are a climate company, by all means.
What does a climate company mean?
You see, they're not just looking to, let me say now, we are not just looking to.
I like that you backtracked, it's now we.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To just sell buses or put buses. What is the end goal? And for example, if you hear just outside the office, what's the one thing you see a lot? A lot of suits. So we actually have to start thinking, what are we doing with this? Yeah, what are we doing with this earth? What are we doing with Mother Nature? How are we going to change how we do things? If we keep just throwing vehicles that are just belching black smoke, what quality of life are we living? So for me, they have got clear that they want to have an effect on climate change. But then number 2 is, it's an exciting opportunity, it's something new. And unfortunately or fortunately, I like new and shiny. I like trying something. I'm always for a new challenge. And if you come from production to toilets to housing to, even before production, I had done cybers when cybers were new.
For somebody who doesn't know what cyber, that's a very Kenyan term.
Yeah.
Cyber
cafe.
Means a cyber cafe.
Cyber cafe.
So you had opened some cyber cafes.
Yeah, I had one in Nairobi and one in Mombasa. I had a cyber cafe in Kenya Cinema Plaza on the 4th floor. Me and my buddy, we had Info Cafe in Kenya. And then one day, there were 7 cybers below us, and the lift doesn't work. Actually, the lift worked, but only took you to Zanzibar.
Zanzibar used to be on the 5th floor.
We were on the 4th, and cybers was a big thing because through internet, the risk of sounding like Wahenga, ancestors. People forget that there were things called dial-ups. How do you get in?
For the Gen Zs who are watching this,
just leave it. Don't even bother.
What is a dial-up?
You literally had an internet connection that is, you try and connect, and it's almost like dialing through a telephone line. Yes. And it would make a noise, and then it would connect. And so with cyber, you charge by the minute. And we had, like in Mombasa, our biggest business was something called VoIP, voice over IP. All these chicks coming to speak to some Italians and Germans in Dakar. Because there's no WhatsApp. People take it for, it was difficult to speak to anybody out of the country. So, done that. So I've always kind of got an eye for, you're always looking for something nice, challenging, and exciting and new. So I joined. And when I joined, I was not very sure. Even I doubted myself and thinking, what am I bringing to this table? But 4 years later now, I love what I'm doing. I enjoy it every day. I love it. I love talking to my matatu guys. I love hearing their stories. They complain.
How many matatus? So you started this when 2021 now?
The fastest, we are 3 companies 4 years old, but the first 2 buses went out in 3.5 years ago. Is what? Where?
2021.
Yeah, 2022.
2022.
March 2022, the first 2 buses went out.
Did you ship them in? So
Yes.
you import the buses?
In fact, the first 2 buses came when I was still at NTSA.
Okay.
And I remember going to and being in Mombasa and actually seeing them, the first 2 electric buses. And so then I had not left. So 2022 February I left, and then now, but we started, the first 2 buses went live on March 2020. 2022. March.
And were they independent, or they were leased to SACCO?
They were pilot buses. So one went to City Hopper and one went to a company called East Shuttle. And we literally gave them to test the market. So they would, if at the first few months they paid nothing, and then they started paying for just for the mileage they do. As we are testing our hypothesis, can you, one, manage electric buses in Nairobi? Will they charge? Will they survive our bumps? Will they?
And how did they work?
The buses are still on the road today. And they're doing well. They've done almost 300,000 kilometers. Those 2 are there. Then we brought another set. Then we moved. Now we are even doing assembly locally. So growing.
And where do they charge? Where do they get the electric charge?
So we've built a few charging depots. So there's one in Buruburu. There's one in Komarok Road or in Kagundo Road. There's 2 in that. There's 2 around Embakasi and Charge Mall on that bypass. We're opening one next week in Riruta. We have one in a petrol station in Mountain View. We have Kikuyu. We have.
That sounds okay. A lot in the east, and then some in the north. But I'm seeing, as we were sitting here, we saw Latema Travels. We've got the electric buses. Where do they charge? Because they're doing from Nairobi to Kawangware.
So you find, like, for example, you brought up Latema. So Latema have a bus. They have 2 buses that start their journey in Thika in the morning. So we have one in Thika, and they will do the Thika Road. And then in the day, they will do the Kawangware or the 46 route. And then they could, some of the, if it requires charging, they can either go to Kikuyu. And they will carry, because since they've got all those routes, so they will not go empty. They will drive to Kikuyu and back. And so they also have some buses in Kikuyu. They will be moving some buses, they'll be moving some buses to Riruta once we open. So the idea is to have a depot in every major artery. So looking on Ngong Road, looking in Rongai, then maybe Kiambu Road, and then towards Roaka. So, and then Thika Road, we are doing something in Juja. So in every major artery, Utawala, and then also then create partner sites, which are ones we are working with petrol stations. And so that way, keep growing this onion in rings. And so that's why we have one in Nyahururu for the Ma3, which we were talking offline. So the vans, so started one. So the Ma3, the pilot for the matatus, what we call the Ma3 is running in Nyahururu and one running out of Thika. We are looking at doing Nyeri, Meru, Nakuru, Karatina must be there,
Of course, that's hope.
Yes.
But that's hope. I mean, remember, going to your mom's house, people have to be able to go with an electric vehicle.
Yes.
But hold on. How many kilometers do I get on this? So like the Latema is a how many seater?
It's a 36-seater.
So it's a 36-seater. It leaves Thika Road in the morning. How many kilometers before it needs a charge?
It can do around 250
How many
kilometers.
trips is that? That's quite a number of trips.
They're running most of the day. But remember, these guys start very early. Some of them as early as 5 a.m. So some point in the day, the driver has to take a break. Okay, and since we don't allow that story of take a break and give a guy a squad, no. So you bring it to a charging depot, take your break. Sometimes they'll take a siesta, have their lunch, and they can top up, because what we enforce is we don't want you running the vehicle to zero charge. You're trying to maintain at least battery at 20%, because you want to prolong the life of a battery. Similar to your phone, if you get into a habit of draining your battery, you reduce the life of your battery. So you want to keep it never at zero. Okay, and just like a long time you would put a phone and you'd have to, once it's full, you'd have to disconnect it, otherwise
yes, it could fry the battery.
Today, there's technology that once it gets full,
it stops charging.
It stops. That's in the vehicles. So you find that the buses will easily do 250 kilometers, depending on, some guys are doing over 300 a day. Your Rambos and your Super Metros are doing over 300 a day. And that works. The MA3 for Manchester out of Thika does 430 kilometers every single day.
But with a top-up.
With a top-up.
Somewhere along the way.
And the top-up during off-peak. Yeah.
Client take-up from a passenger perspective?
I personally believe it's the passengers that are driving this revolution. It's not even the operators. It's the passengers. There's such huge preference of the electric buses. There's a big preference.
What's a difference in experience for the passenger?
The buses we use, or the matatus we use here, the ones we call manyangas, those are trucks. It's just a truck that you build a body on.
That's right.
And
it's a truck chassis.
It's a truck. Yes. So so we are providing buses that are built as buses from scratch. Okay. So even the comfort of that vehicle is quiet. It's more spacious. So we don't have to do bells and whistles and put
videos and Wi-Fi.
No. And those things started again. Having grown up in Buru, those things started there. What was the challenge? Diesel engines in the late 80s, early 90s were very noisy. So what do you hear? It's just kelele. Any kid when we were kids and you you're pretending you're driving a bus, what is the first thing? Because we were noisy.
Yes, that was the noise of a bus, yeah.
So what do you do? So how did we adopt to that? We put ngoma in the vehicle.
To mask the noise.
Yes, to mask the noise. They were noisy. So, to mask the noise, and that's where the whole idea of music came from. And it grew and it became a culture, and then it became now what it is today. Screens and the wax and everything. But that was the original reason. And it was also to differentiate from the very noisy Kenya buses. So that's where music started. And I remember early days of high school, and that's when the whole manyanga culture was beginning. Late primary, early high school, that's when it was happening, and it was interesting to just see. But that noise, that diesel engine, was quite annoying. Yeah.
So your passengers are now happy.
Oh yeah.
And it's a smoother ride. They don't necessarily need the screens.
Yes. One complaint we got yesterday, your USB charging ports are not working. And I see in our service channel, someone saying, we don't have them in stock, but we've ordered. Because guys are complaining, when I enter this vehicle, I need to charge my phone. Because you've created a standard that you can charge your phone. Some of them have high-speed Wi-Fi. So, and look at what happens. Everybody's got headphones these days. Why do you need to?
A screen.
Let's democratize music.
That is right.
Yeah, so if you want to listen to Nitpicker podcast when you're in that bus, you can. The only thing you cannot do in an electric bus is you can't lie. Ndio niko hapa ndio tunafika. That story everybody has heard you. Because it's quiet. Tuone niko hapa kwa kona hapa ndio hapa Hilton wapi. You will hear everybody say, boss, tuko Kawangware. That story you can't do anymore. They're quiet. Yeah. And so we are looking at it. What's the future of public transport? So one, let's change the vehicle. But my hope is, as we change the vehicle, let's use the vehicle as the agent for change. So that we need to get to a point, if Nairobi is going to grow, we need to get to a point where we have a somewhat organized public transport. We can't continue with what we are seeing. It's this city, if we don't plan for our transportation needs, and I say collective transportation, it's going to grind to a halt. We are already getting to that point. It makes no sense that that probably all of us here came in a single car. Why? Because but I imagine a situation, because I've seen it. I grew up in that situation whereby buses were on schedule and you went to a bus stop and there was a bus at a certain time. But what have we done? We are building roads like everybody owns a car. We have no bus laybys. Next time, drive on Mombasa Road. Show me one place that a bus can stop. Yet, if it stops on the road, he can be arrested for obstruction. So sometimes we complain about matatu madness, but what infrastructure have we built for them?
Well, Mozi, I hadn't realized that lay-by, that thing that you drive out, that buses, what we used to call bus stops.
Show me one. Here, outside your office. Where? So we all complain, they're stopping on the road. Where do you want them to stop? 40% of all Nairobians use a matatu. 40% walk. 20% drive. So we are not building. Now I'm seeing some walkways. Well done. But we also have to protect those walkways from not to become markets, not to
be used by borders as their alternative.
But majority still use a matatu. But we are building infrastructure like everybody owns a car. Makes zero sense. So this industry is here to stay, and it's profitable. The people who are in it make money.
You've just rolled out smaller matatu, and you were saying that that's a potential to really make money. Let's talk about that, because that's much more accessible to...
Show of hands. Where's your shags?
Depends on what you're...
Where?
Let's say Nanyuki.
How would you go to Nanyuki if today you wanted to go?
Either to drive myself or take a 2NK circle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So public transport out of what I would call intercity in Kenya is by a thing we call Nissans. Though none of them is a Nissan, however.
Yes,
that's another story altogether.
People say
exactly.
A shell for all petrol stations.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's how we travel. The only routes you see buses is Mombasa and a bit of Western with those Easy Coach and maybe Transline to Kisii, a few of them.
And to Northern Kenya as well, to Isiolo and
But today, Meso and the rest, they are vans. We are 80% is vans. That's how you travel.
The vans being the 14-seater.
The 14s, yeah. That's how we travel in this country. Now, if we want to meaningfully decarbonize public transport, we can't just do the city. We must be able, and only these big matrices are only in Nairobi. Mombasa has very few of them. It's a van market. So we have to get into that space, because for us to be able to do this and just make, just imagine the future of public transport in Kenya or in Africa, we have to get into that market.
Bozi, let me challenge you a little bit, because you're saying we have to use vans. Why not push the buses? So the Latema travel, the 32-seater, why not push for that? That carries more, and therefore that reduces. The 32-seater takes away one 14-seater from
the biggest challenge we have with, remember, where that works is where transport is seen as a public good and is driven by government. Here, the only thing public is the passenger. Everything else is private. The vehicles are private. So if I am an investor, do I have the money to buy the big bus to go from here to Meru? And then you have to think about fill rate. It's easier no one wants to wait long. So you find that people want a vehicle that feels faster. And that's why the van has always worked.
So you've just launched what you call it, the MA3.
The MA3, yes.
The E, you call it?
We call it a MA3. We are playing with the work. These are matatus or MA3s, and then but because the electric is the MA3. Yeah, with an E. Yeah.
Oh, with an E. And how does that work?
So right now we're in a pilot phase. So we're working in 2 circles. One called Manchester, which drives out of Thika to Nairobi, and it's a point-to-point, and then 4NTE, which is a big circle in the Murima area.
Yes, I see.
So they operate out of Nyahururu. They'll do a trip to Nakuru and back, charge for maybe 30 minutes, and then go to Nyeri. And they do this every single day.
Sorry, they'll drive from Nairobi?
No. They are based in Nyahururu.
They're based in Nyahururu?
They'll start in Nyahururu, where we've put a charger. They'll go to Nakuru, and then come back to Nyahururu. And then they'll go to Nyeri and come back to Nyahururu, and that's the day. And tomorrow they'll do the reverse. They'll start in Nyeri and then the other way. And they do that every single day, at least for 6 days a week. Okay. and covering roughly 330 kilometers. So their top up is very little because that vehicle has a range of 280 to 300, depending on how you're driving. And yeah, it's brilliant. They have passengers, they are making, if they were in commercial operations, they would have broken even on that vehicle, on the lease model, in 2 months. If they were to buy that vehicle outright, cash, they would break even in, I would say, in under a year and a half.
So how do we spread the word?
Well, we are spreading it. We are taking reservations. So what we've done is we are talking to the circles and saying, hey, book, because it helps us try and gauge what production throughput do we need to do in 20, assuming 500 people book, or 500 vehicles are booked and people reserve 500 vehicles. And we say you got an attrition rate of 50%. At least I can say comfortably, my production rate for next year should be 250 vehicles. But then on the other side, I have to start thinking, where do I put my charging stations? So I have to
By production, hold on, you're assembling them locally.
Yes. For you to be able to get the tax benefit, you have to assemble locally. And it's good. We create the jobs, and these are commercial vehicles are easy to assemble locally because a lot of commercial vehicles are bought new. Passenger vehicles is where there's a challenge because we buy old vehicles. Yeah. All these Matris are bought brand new from Mombasa Road. I don't want to mention their brands. They are both on, the market leaders are both, one's on one side of Mombasa Road with 90% market share. The other guy is on the other side of Mombasa Road. But they're all new. Okay, but when it comes to you and I, and that's why you're not seeing a huge uptick on personal vehicles, because personal vehicles, we buy what we call new used cars. Yes. If there was ever an oxymoron.
Who would, how every time there's a budget, this is something that I hate. On the day of budget, there's always a picture of whoever is the cabinet secretary in charge of finance holding a briefcase, and it says budget winners and losers. Who would lose in the event that there's a major uptake for this? Because who would fight you for this?
Honestly, nobody. This is one of those crazy things that you can say is a win-win. Think about it this way. Let's assume we have 2 million cars in Kenya right now. And the uptake then means, and every year we bring in 100,000. And we decide 10,000 of those 100,000 that we bring are going to be electric. So there will be still 90,000 vehicles using fuel. The fuel companies don't lose. They have their captive market of their 2 million vehicles and the 90,000 that comes in every year. But as that grows, what happens? Assuming even we do an Ethiopia, we say no more fuel vehicles. What will happen? Eventually what we'll start seeing is a reduction in the country's fuel bill. Now, if there's anything that can immediately have a direct boost to our currency, is reduction of our fuel bill. Now, where does that money go? That money then now starts getting channeled to electricity, which is locally generated. So what happens to Kenya Power, Ketraco, Kengen, and even you and I, if today there's a lot of power, when you look at an EPRA annual report, they'll tell you 680 gigawatt hours of curtailed power. That's power that we've entered steam at Olkaria, because even if they generate it, there's no uptake, and that's at night. Now, most of us, our cars are parked outside in the day. In the night. If we just charged, then that means that curtailed power that we pay for, because a lot of our contracts are take or pick. Okay? Right. So you pay for that power. If we then start paying commercially for that power, it could have the effect of reducing power bills across the entire economy. So who's the loser?
Because there's no idle capacity.
Okay. The fuel companies that already, the OMCs right now in the market, they're already beginning to look at, should we start providing charging facilities so they don't lose.
What are OMCs?
Oil marketing companies, your Vivos, all these guys. They're already putting, maybe not, they've not invested as much as but they've already changed their names to energies. We are seeing it happening in Europe, we're seeing it happening in China, where they are now beginning to
because they have the infrastructure.
They have the infrastructure.
Yes.
So there's no loser in this.
So MA3E, next big thing, hopefully.
It will
and
be.
would probably then change even the way we who are personal car drivers, because it's about, back to your point around how did your toilets get
Let me tell you why it's going to
mainstreamed.
happen.
Yeah.
Have you seen, what have Uber and Bolt just done the other day? They've told us if we want to go to the Nairobi National Park, you can actually book a. What's happening? What these guys are doing is aggregation. Sooner or later, somebody's going to start aggregating passengers, and we are doing it. So, for example, we aggregate passengers from Nyayo High Rise in Embakasi and bring them to Westlands. That bus is full every day, and it's almost like a club of people who work in Westlands and live in Nyayo High Rise. Why? Some of them are bankers, some of them work at Safaricom, but they're just tired of being in traffic. That vehicle leaves, they pay 200 bob, uses the expressway, drops them outside their office. In the evening, they've already booked, they'll go back with that vehicle. That's what's going to happen. We cannot, I'm sorry, I would be, if I died today, I would be a very sad person that we are still doing beba at 30 years later. We don't even shop the way we used to shop. We shop on Global. Okay? We shop online. Things are changing. Public transport has to change. We can't do this thing we are doing. It makes no sense.
We never got to your dream. Your dream when at NTSA, what triggered all of this was you wanted personal mobility, micro mobility.
Yeah.
So did that happen? Is that in the pipeline? Because that would have been your dream.
I still believe that there is an opportunity for us to change how we commute as a country. I strongly believe that there is, and these Gen Z and Gen Alphas are the ones who are going to change it, because they're already doing things in a very different way. They're not carrying the baggage that we did, that I must have a car. They're the guys who will pile up 3 or 4, 5 of them in an Uber and get around. And there's no shame in not having your own vehicle. That generation is going to change it, because they're going to say, why am I going to stand at Kencom and some guy is pulling me to enter a vehicle? Well, I can decide, I know where I'm going, and 10 of us know where we're going. The drivers can see on a screen, these are the 10 people, and picks them. There's some other 10 in GPO, and his vehicle is full and he moves on. It's going to happen. Whether we like it or not, it's going to happen. So how do we then make sure that happens? And when it happens, we're not doing it with polluting, black smoke, noisy vehicles.
Challenging, because you don't want black smoke polluting, yet you have a motorbike. You went to Germany, you got a bug to start riding, and that has led to what you call unplugging and taking time out. So you're doing all of these things, and you take time out, you unplug on your motorbike, which is still not E.
It's coming.
Your e-bike is coming.
See, my bike is okay, and I don't want to defend. My bike is a hobby. It's not my daily commute. If I could drive an electric vehicle, I would. If I could get a nice electric scooter to get me from point A to point B, and I'm not worried about, we were calling them dimples, now we are calling them just manholes. I'm not worried that that's going to, I would do it.
Yeah.
But, so there's space, it's not an either or. There's space for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay? So electric is not going to completely, we're not saying that it's either you go electric or not. We're just saying this is what's coming, but it doesn't mean that the other one just disappears. It takes time.
Yeah.
But if we are thinking about climate change, we have to reduce our emissions.
Yeah.
And in countries like ours where we are not industrialized, a lot of our emissions are from transport.
Yeah.
So we have to do it here. But will we get to a point whereby we are doing our cross-country and cross-continent adventures on electric? Maybe. These guys who did a long way up, long way down, they tried to do that, and so what's the point if they had a service, they had a vehicle where they've got a generator too. So you're putting diesel to charge the electric bike. doesn't make sense. But it will get to a point, we are getting there because 3 years ago, an electric boarder in Nairobi would run out of charge. Now there are cabinets all over the place.
Yeah. And these are charging cabinets.
These are charging cabinets. You just go swap your battery, continue. Yeah. We have got 77 buses running in Nairobi. You'll never see one that has stopped because it ran out of charge. These things happen, and it's happening, and it's real. It's not a story.
Brilliant. Tell us about your unplugging, Mozi. You rode from Nairobi to Lagos? Wait, how far west did you go?
Dakar.
Dakar, on your bike. What was that about?
What was that about? So, 10 years ago, I see a guy called Nick Corey on Facebook, and he's saying he wants to ride to South Africa and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's mad. And I'm thinking, okay, he's a madman. That time, I'd been riding maybe 5 years, 6 years. And the most I had done is, the farthest I'd done at that point was, I think, Kampala. Yeah.
What triggered this? Remember you're telling us that it started in Germany. So
I went for the Eurotoy conference and exhibition in Nürburgring. And one of the days, so if I go to a conference, I'm not one of these guys, the conference ends and I rush and I go fly back home. I'm already here, so I can as well take 2 extra days and just I'm a big Formula 1 fan. It's in Nürburgring. Hey, why don't I see the Nürburgring? And then at the Nürburgring, there's a castle and there's a coffee shop at the castle. And I get there and I'm having a coffee.
What year is this?
It could be around 06 or 07, thereabouts. So I'm sitting in this coffee shop and these bikes just show up. And guy, their leathers, they park. And it's like movies. Chick removes her helmet. And I'm like, man, this is the life. Chill, another guy comes. Same story. And I'm sitting there. And I tell the person I'm with, hey man, ini maisha, I want to do this, man. And so we start talking to these guys. And come to a coffee shop. Well, yeah, I'm coming from Liechtenstein. I'm riding across. Europe is small and it's easy to get around. And these guys, I'm riding from I don't know where. I'm doing a tour I'm going to. And I'm like, what? I mean, there's like a backpack, just that's it. These guys are living, they're free. And I'm like, this makes sense, man. This just makes
something about it.
Yeah, it just looked just so nice.
With you, yeah.
It just looked great. So, as usual, come back and start thinking, where do I get a bike? Where do I get a bike? But how is it safe? So I bought a scooter.
Go small or go home. This is the opposite.
Because you're also kind of asking yourself, there's a few people, whenever you buy a bike, people always tell you how many people have crashed and died, and no one tells you how many people have. Anyway,
a scooter is not power anyway.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, let me get a scooter, get the confidence to be on the road. So at that time, I got our office messenger that was one of these outsourced guys, and he would come and we would I knew how to ride, but I needed to just get that confidence. But I didn't buy just a normal scooter. I bought a Piaggio MP3. It had 2 tires in the front and 1 at the back, and it would balance itself, and it looked really cool. It was 250cc, so it went like the wind. So I buy that, and I really am like, this is the life, and I'm enjoying my scooter, and it turns heads, and yeah, I really like it. And then so of course you don't want anyone in your life to start panicking that you're gonna crash.
Is this a midlife crisis?
Yeah, whatever. That's their problem. So anyway, and then I decided it's time to upgrade. And I upgraded to a 500cc scooter, also a maxi scooter. Now, this one can really go. But what the scooter has, small tires, Scooters are urban rides. They are excellent town. You can whiz through traffic. This thing could balance itself, so I'm not worried.
And that's the difference with the motorbike, is that a scooter balances itself.
Yeah, you know, scooters have no gears or anything. It's just, it's like an automatic. You just ride. But the fact that I'm buying these trikes that have 2 front tires, and they kind of have, the chances of falling are less. But what that gave me is an opportunity for 2 years to just get confidence to be on the road. Then, so I started hanging out with bikers. You know, like there's few bikers, and I'm like, man, whenever we go out of town, I'm like Pee Wee Herman, you know, like I'm the guy with the scooter, you know. So I upgrade, and I buy a Yamaha 600, call it a phaser. And one of my buddies tells me, you know, sometimes bikers, we're always looking for somewhere to go. And we decide to ride to Kampala to watch Kenya versus Uganda football match. It's Independence Day, it's my birthday, and we ride to Kampala and we have an excellent time.
You've joined a biking club by this time?
Yes, yeah. There was only one biking club, we called Outriders, but we were just me and this guy called Lawrence, and we ride out there and we enjoy, we have a decadent weekend in Kampala, and you come back. And when I came back, I fell outside my house and broke my leg in 3 places. I was ridiculous. I literally fell outside the house. And so I had like scaffolding on my leg in 2010, 2011.
Scaffolding?
Yeah. No, external fixture. You know, those wire things, it looks like a Safaricom mast. And so I am there with this, and 6 months I have to wear. So I finished, I'm one of the few people who went to Strathmore in shorts. Okay, because I can't dress. I have to finish. You know, Strathmore was a dress code.
Yes.
Go in shorts. Okay. Wow. So yeah, so that's how biking started. So move on, and I kept upgrading. CCs just kept increasing from 650 went to 700, 850, 1200, and then I got in 2015 got a chance to. Oh no, so I was telling you, so 2013, this guy is saying he's going to go to South Africa. And I get in touch with him and said, yeah, you know, I'm thinking about this. And he's a pastor. And I'm like, it's a bit strange. And we kind of started talking. And it became, oh, you know, I'm doing this for charity. And I'm like, okay. And what started off as an interaction with Nick on Facebook, who I did not know, became a friendship up to today. And I joined him for what we call the Jubilee ride. And we rode to Cape Town and back to raise money for the Logo Scholarship Fund. So that's where I felt as a mini biker. So I've got I need tattoos now. You know? Did
you have the whole leather outfit? Any ladies with long hair in the group?
Leather doesn't work in this area. Kenya is hot. You need a summer suit. You need something that you can breathe. So out in Europe, leather works. Taillight crew, as we call them those days. No, not a big. When you're doing adventure bikes, it's not the same. Yeah, it's not easy to convince a lady that, hey, let's go to Dar es Salaam on my bike. Why? Maybe Limuru, perhaps Naivasha, Dar es Salaam.
But lady bikers.
Now there are many.
Yes.
Now there are many. Now there were very few when we started. Yes. There were very few. Very few. Now there are many. Now there's a whole women bikers association. They've got their own groups. Now they're there. Yeah. But
so you decide to unplug.
And for me, what biking does is it's an opportunity to just switch off the world and be left with my own thoughts. So inside that helmet is I have excellent conversations with myself. I hold meetings with myself. I listen to a lot of music. I listen to audiobooks and sometimes podcasts. But it's an opportunity that because I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm not going to, and then I just enjoy nature. I can smell, you know, in the bike. When you were talking about how you drive to Nyanyuki, when you go on a bike, you're passing there, you can smell the let's say,
the cow dung.
Yeah. You can.
Yeah.
You're passing that market, you can literally smell the bananas, and it's just brilliant. You're stung by bees. It's just freedom.
Doesn't it require a higher level of concentration and awareness?
Yes.
So how are you able to listen to a podcast? I thought your level of, your focus should be on the road.
Biking gives you almost like peripheral vision. You're always looking in your mirrors here. So you kind of muscle memory, you start picking that up, and your brain then now can listen. And if there's one thing, and like in this last trip, the one thing that I was always doing is I get to a point, a nice road, quiet, I'm dancing away to music on my bike, and it's almost like the highest point for me of self-actualization at that point, because saa hiyo hakuna shida, hakuna school fees, hakuna nini. I am on the bike. It's me. It's my time. It's my time. Yeah. So that's how it started. And this year, early on 18th of January, we left Nairobi, and then April Fool's Day we got to Dakar.
3 months? No, yes.
2 months there.
No, 18th of January, February, March, April.
Yeah.
That's 2.5 months.
Yes, on the road.
How many were you?
We were 6 to Cape Town, and then we were 5 the other way, but we picked up a stray. We picked a British guy who was doing Cape Town to London. He joined us someplace in Angola, and we rode with him, and now we
Hold on, you're going to Senegal, or you're going to Dakar?
Yes.
Via Cape Town?
Yes. So the idea was to hit the 4 extreme points of Africa. So Nick and the first group tried to go to the easternmost point, which is somewhere in Somalia. They went through Ethiopia, and there were challenges now crossing from Ethiopia into Somaliland, but they went quite far, and they came back, and so we did the southernmost point, and then we went to the westernmost point, and then Nick continued, and he went rode all the way to Morocco, and then went to the northernmost point, which is in Tunisia. So I did the southernmost and then the westernmost. But I was very clear that I was only going to Dakar. I did. And it's very strange. When I bought that bike in South Africa, I did a solo ride from Cape Town in 2023. And when I got home, I put on my Facebook, next destination, Dakar. At that point, I had no plan. So it's almost, I said, this is what I will do. And then Nick comes last year in 2024, and he's saying he wants to do this. 2023, I have said the next place I'll go to Dakar. So kind of plans merge. Happens that it all ended up being a slow period. It's the only time I could have taken 2 months off from work.
That's right.
So, and yeah. So
6 of you go, 6 of you start.
Kenya, into Tanzania, into Malawi, which I completely love. I think I've ridden to Malawi like 4 times because I love the lake. It's brilliant. It's worth going to.
Lake Malawi?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a Dice Festival every October. So if you ever want to go, Lake of Stars Festival, wonderful. Really, really a good place to go. Mm-hmm. Into Zambia, into Zim, into SA, and then we passed through Swaziland and Lesotho, down to Cape Town, and then west into Namibia, into Angola. Then we wanted to go into DRC, but then there was a whole issue in DRC. The Kenyan embassy was attacked, so we decided 5 Kenyans, we are not going to DRC. So we took a boat to a place called Cabinda, which is a conclave. It's actually surrounded by DRC, but it's part of Angola. And from there, from Cabinda, we got into Congo Brazzaville.
Hold on, like a ferry?
Yeah, like a proper boat.
So you hire a boat?
No, it's
actually it's public transport.
Yes.
So you put your bikes on the boat,
yes,
and you cut across.
Yes, and you go around, and then from getting to Congo Brazzaville, and then from Congo Brazzaville, so in Point Noir, and then keep going, and then I think into Cameroon, which I hated, but and then from Cameroon, now there is insurgency, and in fact, in the western part and with the Nigerian border, so we can't use the land border, and so we took a boat from Cameroon into Nigeria, so like Gulf of Guinea, where there are pirates. yeah, into Nigeria, and we were supposed to go to Calabar, and we ended up going somewhere else. And at one point, some people who we believe are pirates stopped us in the middle of the ocean. That was just madness. Okay, and this is not a ship. This is not now a ferry. Yes. In the boat.
That you've just hired and said you guys would take us
so
across.
3 bikes on one boat and 3 bikes on the other. And luckily, we laugh about this as we said that luckily Michael, who we had picked up, the Muzungu, was on the other boat. Because when these guys came, we just think if they had seen, because they were ahead, so they didn't get stopped. We literally were, and we are sailing, and it's got big engines, 2 engines, 2 big drums of fuel, and we see a boat coming, and we are thinking, it looks like we're going to collide with that guy. So this guy slows down and starts like changes so that thinking this guy will pass, and then this guys turn and they're coming straight at us. And we're like, oh shit. And they have got camouflage, and you know that typical rebel you see. That's what that guy, the gun is rusted. Yeah, seawater, but where your passports, and you're having to pass your passports over to the next boat, and you're just thinking, Julu, you're finished. Yes. I mean, if that happens, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Then they want to see the paperwork of the bike, but you're here in this boat, and then you look at our captain. He's looking. He doesn't even want to make eye contact with these guys.
So he knows what's going on.
Yeah. So we knew we were in trouble. So we start talking. These guys, we have paperwork. We are okay. And then they said, you seem to have everything. So give us money for the boys. I didn't even think. I just removed all the money I had in local currency and just gave them.
Which currency? You're out in the sea. So which local currency?
So we had CFA. We have just come from Cameroon.
Okay.
So I may have some, So that entire region is the CFA. So I just removed anything I had and gave them. And they told us to go. And we continued. And then when we left, is that when you start thinking, actually maybe a day later, saying, that was the area. Like looking at watching a documentary where people have been killed by these insurgents. And so they're just their own militia. So it was a bit crazy. Getting into Nigeria, we are stopped by, some of these things, and I think about it, when I say it aloud, we had immigration in the water. An immigration boat comes and they check our passports. Huko kwa maji, huko. In the middle of the water. Then customs show up. They didn't wait for us to dock. Then we finished. They tell us, police, come, check. In the water.
These are 3 different boats now.
Yes. And then when we leave, another one comes and they say they're customs and they're making jokes with us and 1 minute. Then the guys go under and then they come back in the military uniform and with guns. And they're like, next thing they take the pipe that comes from the fuel to the engine and they leave us floating like maybe 3 or 4 kilometers from shore, and we are just there. The sun is going down, we're just sitting there. And we had one lady, now it's both boats, and one lady on the other side. She was on our boat, and Havana wants to pee. And we're telling her, Havana, please just stop.
Not now. But when you gotta go, you gotta go.
No, that time.
You men can stand on the side of the boat and do your business.
They're guys with guns. Yeah, that time.
So you guys are doing what?
Everything has gone back to factory settings. There is nothing.
You're just staring at each other.
We're just sitting there
across the bow.
Yeah. So the guy who had arranged calls, and then there's a whole we don't know what they've not asked. They didn't ask us for any money. They didn't tell us anything. We're just sitting there. So Michael calls the guy who had arranged the boats in Nigeria. He comes on our boat. They negotiate like 45 minutes. I don't know what. Finally, they let us dock. And we land in this fishing village. And the entire village shows up to see us guys. And we are pushing our bikes. And then as they're getting on, Nick's bike gets its oil filter punctured. And so we have to change it there in the middle of 1,000 people. And then there was challenges with so we landed, how do I put it? It's like you've landed in somewhere, Lamu, north of Lamu, not Lamu itself.
Yes.
So immigrations, they can't do e-visa. you've applied.
Is it that they've got you on the radar? How do they know that you're out in the open sea?
But that's their job. This is a normal route for trade and smuggling and everything. There's trade, so that's what they do. But you guys have got like some serious bikes. So there was a whole issue with immigration. Even in Cameroon. So you hear, now there'll be visa-free Africa. Visa-free Africa is for airports. E-visa, you do it here. When you land at the land border, they don't know what that is. In Cameroon, we had to, we are actually on our way out is when we were being told, no, you guys can't leave this country. We had to go back to the airport for them to put what they call a sticker visa. You know that now the normal car visa. Because nobody, the border we entered was a tin shack. So e-visa near airport. And that's why, for me, I love Kenya because Kenya works. We think Kenya, we like complain. Kenya works. You go to Cameroon, you go to Angola, you get the maximum you could get out of an ATM was 4,000 bob or something like that.
Can't even shilling equivalent.
Yeah. You can't even get, how do you pay your hotel? How do you eat? How do you drink, cook a beer? You can't swipe. So you always have a stash of dollars, local bikers, they change it for you. Things that we take for granted in Kenya. Don't at Airbnb.
Where did you sleep?
Hotels. So one of the biggest lessons is network.
Yeah.
Local bikers really came through for us.
How do you tap into that local biker network?
So people of similar interests tend to, so kind of word goes around, so you're in Namibia and the Namibians tell the Angolans that there's this bunch of mad Kenyans who are riding. Oh yeah, we'll host them. The Angolans tell the guys in Cabinda, the Cabinda guys, I don't tell the next guys and like that. So Cameroon, we didn't meet, but even in Cameroon, when we got to Yaoundé, the expressway ended, we didn't know where we have no, so first thing you do, so tumeingia boda ingine ya mabati. So we have no SIM card. If we have no SIM card, we have no GPS. We have no phone. So we've landed, where are we going? So we are parked on the side of the road trying to figure out, we don't speak French. And some guy stops his car. He's got a broken leg. He's a biker. So he says, hey, in fact, he was with the girlfriend. They were going to pick kids from school. He said, oh, this is my tribe. He comes out, says, hey, hi, how are you? I'm also a biker. Sorry, I've seen you guys. He's the one who took us to MTN. Town. We got SIM cards, we got
random guy on the road.
Random guy on that road.
So there's a God for bikers.
Yes, there is. And by the way, I am not a very religious person, but let me tell you, in that trip, we saw God save her 1,000 times. 1,000 times. I mean, I saw it. You cannot tell me that there is no spiritual deity looking over us. We saw it. And so Nigeria, we get in, finally we get to Port Harcourt, the local bikers find us a hotel, they help us go to the airport to get sticker visa, we pay.
When you get to the airport, you say, what, we need to go to an immigration office.
Yes.
That you can give us.
You already got a stamp, but now you need now the proper visa, because there in the border, that paper it means nothing. They have no computer, they have nothing. They can't take your picture, they can't take fingerprints, they can't
They won't let you exit the country.
You will not exit. And maybe the border is, so imagine you've entered in Busia and you're exiting in Mandera.
Yes.
Are you going to go back?
No.
So you do what.
But you learned this the hard way.
Yes, you learned. There's no Lonely Planet that tells you. You see, a lot of these things that are written about travel in Africa are written by Muzungus, whose passports are not like ours. For some reason, they have their passports, they get they can travel. Kenyan passport. We paid for an Angolan visa in Kenya, $80. When we got there, they were looking at us like, what is this piece of paper? But somebody decides, okay, I get it, but we had even a letter from the ambassador because for some reason their visa issue, but we had to pay again. Now we go and do the online visa there at the border. That took 8 hours.
Having already gotten the visa.
To Lilipa it, and it's not refundable. We paid here, you got to bank pay, do everything, but this, for some reason, their systems as Yongeleshani.
So you need to write a book, Moses. Traveling in
Africa between my legs.
See what you did there.
Yes, but that's where the bike sits.
And then somewhere along the way, you broke your ankle.
Yeah, so in Nigeria, we had a place called Benin City, and we're getting in, and we had just construction and everything, and so we stop and we say, let's fuel. We had seen some hotels. It's like you don't plan, you don't even sure. We had learned that don't stay in the city, just stay on the outskirts, and if you can, stay on where you're exiting. So, for lack of a better word, example, come Lolongo, because you're exiting. So you've come, let's say, from Nakuru side, go around the city and stay in Mlolongo, so that tomorrow when you wake up, you're heading to Namanga. So you're not, because when you're in the city, it's chaotic. Yes. It can be chaotic. It's difficult to find. But this time we said, let's stay as we are entering. And so it's evening, we stop, we fuel. And then there were some hotels. We had just passed some hotels. And so we decided to do a U-turn. It's a proper highway. It's in really bad shape. And as we turned, so we do the U-turn and we are now going back. One of my colleagues was pointing at a hotel. So I glanced at what she was pointing at. And then when I looked in front, I saw a truck. I literally, so he's driving against traffic. Oh. So I see this truck right in front of me. And I honestly, I didn't see it coming. So we've just entered. And so when you're entering the road, you look where the vehicle should be coming from, not where. So I didn't see it. And so I'm seeing this green truck. I literally could see the white part of the driver's eyes. So I tried to swerve off the road. Thank God for reflexes. And bike hits the pavement and sandy soil and gets stuck, and I get tossed over and I land in the median. The truck doesn't stop. It just flies through. So, of course, you're in a bit of shock and wake up, and all these guys, some locals, and then some of the guys now who are behind, Nick was ahead, have come back, and everybody is now in a panic. And so I wake up, adrenaline is pumping, and I'm kind of a bit not sure. I look, I see my bike there, and then I try and I get up, and I couldn't move my leg. And I just could not move. I was just too painful. So my left leg, I just not been able to move. So very quickly, they put me on a boda. We go to the hotel, which was literally there. I sit at the gate. They sell ice. So give me up. And we remove the shoe, and I am in such pain. We put some ice on it, and I'm thinking, is it broken? But I've broken my leg before, so it doesn't feel like...
3 places.
Yes, it's not feeling like... But the pain is there. Then the guy who brought me tells me there's another mama, traditional healer. I can take you, she will do...
This is in Nigeria.
This is in Benin City. Let me tell you first. And I say, I'm just thinking it's sprained. I nearly killed somebody's grandmother. I've never felt pain like that.
What was she doing?
She poured some herbs, some mafuta, told me lie on a mat outside there. Nigeria movie, the way they sit outside Ushago. Yes. She fingered my leg. I told her I'm going to kill her. Because I was going to kick her with the other leg.
So guys are holding you down.
And by the way, I've gone with some Boda guy who I've never met. So, I said no. I leave that story and I go back to my hotel. I asked them, can I have 5 towels and a bucket of ice? I elevate my leg. I tie it with, first I put my bandana, and then put so I don't get a ice ban. I elevate my leg. And now I chill, so kind of feel I'm a bit better. Gin is helping.
Gin always helps.
Yeah. And I try and go and take a shower because you're hot, you're sweaty, and I fall in the bathroom. I can't deal with all the other guys because I can't put any weight on it. And they decide like tomorrow, let's just rest, give you a chance to heal. Next day, I literally spend the time in my room. It's swelling. And,
did it occur to you to do what normal people do, which is to go to a hospital? That's what the average person...
thought of going to a hospital in that place was just revolting to me. So they said, let's give him another day. But now we decided to move hotels to the other side of town. And
who's riding your bike now? Because you can't ride your bike.
So it was not far, so they had brought it. So when we decided to go to the other, I took a taxi and Nick rode his bike, then came back in the taxi and rode my bike. And then when we realized that this thing, I can't ride. So with the local biker network, they found us a biker to ride my bike to Lagos. And the guys in Lagos, I couldn't buy a ticket because, I don't know, cards, just... things we take for granted in Kenya. I can't buy a ticket with my card. So they bought me a ticket from Lagos and then sent it to me, went to the airport in Benin City, and I flew to Lagos. And somebody rode my bike. So I get to Lagos. I should have gone to hospital, but I didn't. And I continue nursing it with ice. So in Lagos, we stayed day 1. I tried to wear my shoe day 2. But day 2, we went round, we meet the Lagos bikers. Day 3, so now we've never had the only place we had such rest was in Cape Town.
So you took an enforced holiday.
Yes. Day 4 nikavaa kiatu. It entered. And I went to the bar where the other guys are.
Are you walking on a stick by this time?
Stick. Tunatembea. Mwanaume ni kujikaza.
Oh my God.
Okay, so the shoe fits. Tomorrow we are riding. Sawa, done.
Are you Cinderella here?
So next day, wake up and we get out. I can sit on the bike. I get out of I can't change gears. I can't. That movement's not there. I don't have it. So for the first almost 80 kilometers, I was clicking with the back heel which is hard. I was clicking the gears, kicking them up.
Yes.
Kicking down I can, but to go up the gears, I just didn't have that movement. So we stopped somewhere and I rigged a string from the gears and to my tank back, and I would just pull it. And I rode from just outside Lagos into
Lagos City with all the hospitals. You've left with your string on the water. So,
yes.
Okay.
And what's the next country that...
was it Togo?
No, the one before Togo is... Benin.
Yeah.
Into Benin, with the Benin bikers, we didn't stop. We threw into Togo into Ghana. Okay? Ghana, we have a few days, no hospital.
Oh my God.
Ghana into Liberia.
Your foot is still, it
fits in as long as I only wear the shoe once in the morning and remove it once in the evening. Into Sierra Leone, into Guinea. And then...
and you're popping pills by this time.
Oh yeah. When we met the Nigerian bikers, the guy told me I had bought normal painkillers. So boss, I catch you. He gave me a spray. He went to his car, he gave me a spray, and he gave me some pills that are for, what are they for? Gout. Those things were magic. Kuna uchungu.
I know them.
They were very good.
The Voltaren, I know them. They're extremely high.
Yeah, but they're not drowsy.
High pain, yes.
So, but then at one point I had to say, I have to get rid of these things because, anyway. So that's how I survived. And
so you managed to bike all the way to? Did you get to Senegal?
Yeah, with a string. And in fact, in Guinea, we had such breakdowns on Havana's bike. And so finally, we got it to Senegal. And I actually, through to Senegal all the way to Dakar, I was actually carrying Havana on my bike. It's craziness because I am not 100% confident that if for any reason, let's say we hit a rough road, I can hold the weight of the bike and both of us. But as I said, God is gracious. We
serve a living God.
We got to Dakar with my string. I removed my string, I think 2 weeks ago from the bike. I'm keeping it as a souvenir. And the day I landed we were opening our office. And the next day I went to hospital, and the guy turns my foot like this, some nice Muzungu doctor at Dakar, and he says, but your ankle's broken. Go to X-ray. I tell him, but boss, I mean X-ray today. He says, no. Okay, do this. It was a Friday. Go over the weekend, because maybe weekend, Sunday, I go, I get my, tells me first, get an X-ray, but I'm immediately putting you in a boot. And yes, I had a broken ankle. But it had started healing. So that funny boot they give you, my riding boots worked like...
It helps to set the ankle.
Yes. So the next 6 weeks I was wearing an air boot. But the previous 6 weeks I'd been wearing my boots.
I love how you're smiling. There's no lesson. What are the lessons learned here apart from no strings attached? Because that should be the title of your motorbike book.
I have no idea what lessons I learned. I don't know. If I was to do it again, but think about it. I've got to Nigeria. Then you're telling me to pack and fly back. I can see the finish. I mean, it's not there. It's still a distance. But
But you're in West Africa.
I've come this far.
I get it.
No.
It's like the people who climb mountains or those who hike. You can see the summit.
Yes.
You're feeling sick as a dog, but
yes,
there is the
my
summit.
first Mount Kenya, I was up there in full altitude sickness, but I got there, and then let's run down. There's no way. Every time I thought I'd come back, I literally felt ill. And I really thank my colleagues that they gave me that grace to have that few days and to be able, I mean, it's almost a week to just be able to let the swelling come down. I completely downplayed the pain.
Many effort, eh?
Yeah, but the thought of going back was not. I know it was not happening.
All right, I'm going on to nitpicks on the quick. Right? All right. Early riser or sleep in on weekends?
Early riser.
Text or phone call?
Call.
Cooking a meal or ordering takeout?
Cooking.
What do you cook?
Everything. Cook everything. The only thing that I'm not going to cook is chapos. Yeah. I like to cook. I enjoy cooking.
All right. Mountains or the beach?
I like both. Yeah. I like both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travel back in time or fast forward your life?
Fast forward.
To where?
Just keep going, man.
Itchy boots.
Keep going. You've done it. Why am I going backwards?
Yeah. Favorite Kenyan dish?
You know that tilapia?
Yes.
Yeah,
the fried one. Do you like wet fry or dry fry?
Dry.
Nice.
Ndimu, kapilipili.
With what? Ugali?
Ugali sauce.
Bas. One thing you always carry with you?
Sense of humor.
I like that. What's your go-to stress reliever? That's not
gin,
gin.
Whiskey. I would say biking, hiking, long walk.
Yeah. Most inspiring place you've visited?
First time I got up Mount Kenya, I literally felt the presence of God. I could understand why the locals said God was up there.
Which summit did you get to?
Ile ya kawaida.
The Nana Peak.
Okay. I really felt a spiritual, and I've always felt that every time I hike. So when I get to the summit, I always pray.
Read the book or watch a movie?
Watch a movie.
Favorite
I'm
movie?
dyslexic.
Oh, yes.
So I do audiobooks.
You don't like... Oh, really?
Yeah. It's hard to read. I was beaten in school because I couldn't read. Yeah.
Mozi, you've been a fantastic guest. It's been great fun having you. And we hope to have you soon again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Moses Nderitu, we're waiting on the book. Chapter 1, solve problems. Chapter 2, be curious. Chapter 3, learn. Chapter 4, this thing between my legs. the bike, obviously. Chapter 5, let's see what happens next. Moses shows us that life isn't linear, that gratitude for where you are is important, that improvisation on a biking trip is not only encouraged, but necessary, that the medicine woman in Benin City wasn't the real deal, and that living through all the joy and adversity is what life is all about. We can't wait to see what he's up to next. Hopefully, if he breaks something again, he'll go to a hospital. No strings attached. Thanks for watching the Nitpicker podcast, where we share interesting stories about interesting people doing interesting things. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.